Hello, chaps. Good to see you, Simon. Good to see you, Burge. Folks, we've got a really good show lined up. I'm now calling it a show. We just used to call it a live stream. But we're going to be talking about Bitcoin, crypto, NFTs, a bit into the punk strategy ecosystem, a lot of the stuff that maybe is happening on the other side of the pond. Simon, good to see you. Back from your travels, mate. You've been missing for 2 weeks. I know. People messaging me saying, where the hell is he? What's he doing?
That's very sweet of you. That's very kind of people.
Fan club in my DMs, mate.
I said to you just before, I could be really pretentious and just say, well, I've been in Europe. Europe's been calling, boys. I couldn't ignore it. But the thing is, yeah, I just had to sort of step in and do some my boring day job. Really, it's not boring. I love it, but it's needs must. So I had to work. I was working in Norway and in Germany the last couple of weeks, just helping and supporting to run some leadership programs. And I was missing being here with you both, I have to say. I very nearly did go into some of the sessions and say, I'm very sorry, sort yourselves out, I'm off. Which may not have been a very good, wise move, but there you go. But it's great to see you both.
No, I love that. No, good to have you back, bud. We had Tamor, who was a very good replacement for you. He was obviously deep into the NFT ecosystem, had a lot of good feedback and messages from people. This is what I love about, like, obviously the dynamic between us is obviously we're just like a bunch of enthusiasts who just love it, and then people find it relatable. Just to the 6 of you that have dived in, do me a massive favor, please share the stream. It is how the live stream grows, and we talk about Bitcoin, crypto, NFTs. Some of the stuff I guess is happening in macro. We're not really going to talk about war politics too much. We've got to touch on it because it's impacting prices. Burge, good to see you, my friend. We've been having conversations offline about you organizing your next in-person meetup. That was going to tie in nicely with actually us three getting together and I guess mapping out how we were going to overtake the world in live streaming and talking about NFTs. What's happening your end, bud?
So I'm buying some NFTs. I'm seeing a little, ETH's cheap. I'm seeing some opportunities out there. In fact, right before we went live, I was just saying to you guys, I've just bought my first Del Mundos, which obviously, for if people have tuned in and religiously to the show, they know I've kind of 180'd on my opinion on Del Mundos. I do think they're taking a unique direction, although still I'm not sure if they can crack maybe into the top 25 projects of all time, but I don't think necessarily they need to do that. So yeah, I just bought a Del Mundos, entering that ecosystem.
I'm amazed. I love it, Burge.
Yeah, I mean, Simon's the big red here, so
can I say on that note?
Let's go.
Simon's the Del Mondo super fan, mate. I love it. I guess just before we get into the meat and potatoes of things, I think one of the things that we're kind of discussing, certainly offline, is just about talking about the general things that are happening, and we'll kind of move down into, I guess, some of the Donald Trump tweets, what's happening in the macro, and also further down the risk curve into Bitcoin, crypto, NFTs, and then kind of into the token works ecosystem. But as aside from that, on the timeline, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's literally everywhere, which is this Manosphere documentary. Don't know if any of you have seen it. Just wanted to maybe get some of your thoughts on it. Obviously, with three men, it's not very inclusive panel, this, unfortunately, but it is what it is. But did you guys see it? Did you have any thoughts on it or anything? Simon, you look like you're ready to do about a PowerPoint presentation here, but
no, I won't do that. I'll be really, really brief on it. I did it was unbelievable in a way, and really, I found it personally how sad that someone like that is kind of stooping so low to do what they do. And I thought what I came away with was just a bit of a mixed up kid in my mind. It was his dad. His dad's a famous rugby player. That's right, isn't he? Yeah. And he's estranged from him, and there's a lot of stuff going on there. But it was quite funny. On a side note, my 2 daughters, who are 20 and 19, and my 15, soon to be 16 son, were all watching it. And the girl said, "The reason, Jude, you are watching this," they're really strong with him, is because you are not going to be like this. You are. And it was quite interesting hearing my two daughters giving they didn't need to give him a lecture, because actually he's not like that at all. But I do know that he occasionally does watch stuff that you could say is in that manosphere. And is that, and he's obviously goes to the gym a lot. He's always in that kind of moment. So for me, it was interesting just to see my daughters talking to my son and me saying, you know, this is an idiot. Don't go there as a young kid, young male, you know.
I mean, I think a good point. I was quite surprised, actually, taken back how many people don't actually know who Louis Theroux is. In fact, the guy in the documentary was actually saying, he was calling him Louis Theroux, and I was like, mate, I was just like, he's mispronouncing his name. Then he's trying to be like, it's funny in the description, they said trying to be a beta male, or it was supposed to say beta male, but they put in beta, which was a clever bit of marketing. But it's really interesting how, obviously, we're on a live stream. You know, we could do, I guess, this just things for wow factor, and just do some controversial stuff and just get views and all that sort of stuff. But it's interesting how the desire to get attention and views is the thing driving the behavior. So it's not necessarily the fact that maybe he believes these things. And certainly some of the other guys who are basically misogynist and controlling women, and some of the behavior is just like, okay. But it's actually the fact that it's the attention flows they get from saying those things. They get the eyeballs on them, and then they sell whatever they're selling on the back end of it, which is obviously what's driving the behavior. But you're not. Did you see it yourself, Bud?
Haven't seen it yet. I've seen clips, but I remember I was watching a streamer talk about it and give his 2 cents. I do think some of one or two of the people on it were actually taking the piss out of Louis Theroux, and so some of what you're seeing isn't like them being genuinely like just stupid, but actually like trying to take the piss out the other way, trying to get one over the documentary team. So I do think there was a bit of that people might have missed if they were watching it. But in general, it's a really interesting group of guys and people who've made careers off the back of that stuff. And like you said, it's not necessarily that they believe it, or maybe they don't go into it believing it, but maybe, you know, they've kind of fall victim to the same thing. But like, they go in and they say these things just for the attention, for the views that they know that they're going to get. They know it's going to cause a ruckus, and that they basically live off the drama that they create from what they say.
Yeah. I was thinking you're absolutely right, Burge. One thing I was going to say is I thought all of those guys, not just all 3 of them or 4 of them, were very fragile egos. So, and Louis Theroux is no one to mess with. He is so clever and so subtle, clever. And he plays this sort of the part of being slightly more passive than he really is. And so when he'll ask a question, and what I noticed a few times with these guys was they would be all lots of bravado, and then when he would just place a little question, and maybe their girlfriend or partner or wife was there. And he said, "So is it true? Is it true? Is that? Do you agree with that then?"
Yeah.
and you could see the guys checking their wife or partner, going, "Is it okay?" And I just thought, God, you're so fragile. Very, very fragile egos. It wouldn't take a lot to push you over the edge. Is what I thought.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Some of the wives have actually split up with him, or some of the girlfriends have split up.
Have they?
Some of the guys after
it.
Which is just kind of shows a bit of the like the coercive behavior. But you're right about Louis Theroux. Is really interesting is that he asks the questions almost like he's a child. Like, what's the innocent questions you would ask as a child? You go, well, and then he obviously the HS TikTok-y guy. He's sort of going, well. You know, I'm just in it for the money and I don't care about people and blah, blah, blah. And he said, surely with this amount of attention that you're getting, wouldn't it just be better just to be a better person? Like, wouldn't that just serve you better? and then he's like, and then he's thinking about it. And then the funniest bit of it was actually off camera when he's giving it the big bravado and he's like, and you support genocide and all that, like just basically. And they found out he was basically reading off a live stream from commenters. But then off camera, he spilt some, I don't know, orange juice or something, and his mum's telling him to clean it up.
That was absolute classic.
It's
That
just
was
like,
classic.
it's like, mummy.
I know. It's mummy. And you have to remember, Louis Theroux has done interviews and uncovered and brought to justice the likes of people like Jimmy Savile.
Yeah.
And so you're not playing with, and he's gone into the whole world of Scientology with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I mean, this man's a big player.
Yeah.
And what makes me laugh, one last thing, is that when some of them said about, well, I earn millions and millions, thinking, you do know Louis Theroux will be earning in his lifetime probably millions. You do know you're dealing with someone who may have as much money as you.
We're gonna kind of move on from this topic, but I did see a clip where because Andrew Tate was supposed to be in the documentary, and he said he started giving it the big like no. Who's Louis Theroux? Don't even know who he is. He's not even relevant anymore. Blah blah blah. And then Andrew Tate sends him I think it's like a Google Trends chart of their names being Googled, and it's got Louis Theroux down here and Andrew Tate up here like this. So he sends him this chart, and at the end of the documentary, Louis Theroux's up here because people are like, who is this guy? And Louis Theroux.
So he helped him.
Yeah,
he helped
Louis
him.
Theroux sends it to him and says, well, obviously I'm being searched a bit more than you, but he said it like obviously to him it's not relevant, and to anyone with a fully formed brain it's not relevant. But I can see how there are elements of the manosphere that people buy into, which is get fit, be masculine and all these sorts of things. But then it kind of muddies the lines anyway. But
it does. Can I just say one thing, Jayden?
Go.
Can we encourage Louis Theroux to create an NFT collection? I mean,
he's got a song. What's the song? My money don't jiggle, jiggle.
Oh yeah.
Listen, we're talking about this. I don't even know if this Netflix documentary was actually was mainstream in the US. Got a whole bunch of US followers. In just saying that, for the 40 of you that are listening to the live stream, just do me a massive favor. Please share it where you are. Gene, thank you for sharing it. Amit, thank you for sharing it. And Amit's just put the best up-to-date crypto and NFT info you can get. Guys, don't balls it up, all right? So this is the best information. Amit, really appreciate it, bud. And obviously really appreciate you tuning in. Does mean a lot. Guys, I just want to segue away from, I guess, stuff on the timeline at the moment to more stuff on the timeline. We've got to kind of touch on it. There's kind of been mixed signals. Burge, I know you got something to share. We don't usually touch on politics as much, but it's good just to know what's actually happening. There seems to be a bit of manipulation in the government at the moment around Trump's announcements, and someone front-running the announcement, shorting oil and going long on stocks and vice versa. But the long position is several times bigger than the short position, and it's carnage out there, and it kind of gets you thinking, well, how do you fucking trade against these guys? Like, how do you even compete against these guys when I guess in government it's being manipulated, or looks it? And I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but seemingly Bitcoin and crypto prices have shown some sign of recovery. Have you got any thoughts on that, Simon, before I hand you over to Burge, who's going to share something on the screen?
No, I was just going to say it's really heartening to see that crypto has held up. In fact, gold has dropped a fair amount, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny how things are transitioning. Curious maybe later just to sort of try to understand why that is happening. I don't know whether it's other things happening like clarity and all that kind of stuff, but something's interesting for me about that.
Yeah, I think it could just be as simple as like just a basic rotation. Gold's had a good run, silver's had a good run. Crypto's kind of flatlined, and I'm doing a research piece at the moment on a guy called Mike Howell, who's like the liquidity expert, and he says this liquidity's just got to rotate into something else, and sometimes that's just how you explain these things. And the next rotation may well be crypto. But clearly people are seeing Bitcoin as a flight to safety. And what that's doing is creating this optical rising effect for some of these altcoins and also NFTs, which are a huge function.
Yeah, absolutely.
of ETH. Birch, I'm just gonna do a quick screen share of what you've got there, my friend. So what what have we got here, bud?
I mean, this is crazy. So I don't know if it's even worth playing the video, but this is basically Trump saying. So as you said, you're right. There's a lot of kind of left back and forth. Trump saying that, you know, on it, he'll say on an interview that they've won the war. Then he'll say, you know, we're almost about to, we've completely obliterated them. Then he'll say that Marines are on their way, and that you know, like boots are going to be on the ground in a week. And then he'll say, and then the next minute he'll say, no, we've had really productive talks with Iran, and actually. And that's like in this tweet, he's saying that they've offered him a present of oil and gas, like a really, really substantial amount of oil and gas. It's like, I don't even know what to believe. Like, he's contradicting himself.
I know, but didn't the Supreme Leader come out and say, no, there's no deal? And he's going, yeah, no, we've had productive talks.
Yeah, exactly. The Supreme, like, yeah, exactly. They literally came out and said, I don't think they had these sort, or at least they didn't reach a deal. And yet Trump's saying, oh, no, don't worry. We've had these productive talks. It's all looking good. And obviously that's caused, kind of to relate that to the big news topic, is that's caused a lot of swings in the market. It's caused the stock market to go up, and it's caused oil to come down. And right before both of that tweet, from Trump that caused the market to shift, there was $1.5 billion worth of S&P 500 futures that were purchased by an individual, and then also 580 million, I think, was shorted on the oil market, and these happened literally 15 minutes before that Trump tweet went out, and after that Trump tweet went out, the stock market went up 2 or 3 or 5%, and the oil market crashed. And obviously, this person was able to cash in or make, on at least on paper. I don't know. I'm sure they did sell off, but they were able to make a lot of money.
On that it's Barron Trump or not?
I think the side bet that it's Barron Trump is definitely a decent one to place. Like, it's absurd. It's absurd that we've become, you know what the problem is, though? That we've become desensitized to how absurd and how, you know, this is clearly not legal. I mean,
it's blatant, insider
trading. It's blatant, and yet you can't do anything. And also, when you look at the governing bodies that should be looking into this, like the SEC, or I think it's the CTFC. CTFC is looking at Polymarket and those types of gambling markets like Kalshi and Polymarket. And then the SEC, a lot of the people in there now are Trump loyalists or Trump appointees, or people who pander to Trump. And just recently, someone resigned from the SEC because they weren't able to really do their job. In terms of going after these types of insider trading cases, which are clearly happening and clearly related to Trump and his family.
It's easier. I guess it's easier to spot with crypto because everything's on a public ledger. I mean, we saw it with the Jane Street stuff that they were selling off, and then obviously they had they're now going to court because of the FTX crash. In fact, sorry, the Luna crash. Because they had information ahead of time. So they were selling off big portions of their crypto to kind of hedge, while everyone just basically swallowed this big black hole of a mess of crypto crashing. Simon, do you have any thoughts on that? Do you have any thoughts on what Burge said?
I just don't know. I mean, as you said, Burge, it is so blatant. And yet there feels a sense of powerlessness. I mean, we don't know what will happen, but I mean, you get the sense that surely at some point it's going to catch up with people, that their time will come with this. Because can you imagine 5 years ago this happening with any other kind of president or their government? It just would have been like, I mean, how does he get away with it? How does he get away with it?
All bets were off as soon as Trump and Melania token launched.
I know, it's extraordinary. And then I'm hoping there will be a comeuppance.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't have a political view on it. I think it's probably, it's positive. I think it's positive for the space. I mean, you imagine, you think back to when we were in NFT land in 2021, 2022, 2023. There was stuff on the timeline about the founders getting sued because they were giving rewards, heavens forbid, giving rewards to holders for holding their NFT. But no, they were seen as a security, and now you couldn't do that, and they were getting fines and all these sorts of things. And now you got the president of a country launching a token, and he's basically doubled his net worth overnight, But the other side of this is, okay, well, actually, for balance, if you look at the previous administration, we had Gary Gensler trying to destroy crypto.
Oh yeah,
basically like at every turn, just trying to dunk on it. Then Biden, by the time he woke up, he was kind of like, oh shit, half my voter base hold crypto, so I probably just don't need to dunk on it. So it's interesting, and again, I come back to the point that we do have a large American audience, and we are 3 Brits across the pond.
Oh yeah, and for me, it's not about a criticism per se. It's more about, I hope whoever breaks the law in whatever they're doing, there's a comeuppance. That's my view, regardless of politics. One thing to say is that you're exactly right. The good side of it is that the SEC, for example, defining what securities are and what aren't, the Clarity Act, all that wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for the current administration.
Yeah, exactly. How do you think that's like this to either of you? I mean, how do you think that'll impact prices? Because there was obviously those 16 cryptos that they basically said, right, these aren't securities, they're commodities. That had no impact on pricing. I think in a bull market, we would have gone to absolute Valhalla. Do you think this is going to have any impact? I know that there's a lot of capital on the sidelines that people are going to invest in the space, but do you think it's going to do anything?
I don't know about you, Burj, but I think it may not be, as we're seeing, an immediate response, but I think it's the sense of building blocks slipping into place, the jigsaw puzzle coming together, and once it finally settles, then I think you see momentum. I think it's just those. There's often there can be a lot of trading and a lot of what's going on behind the scenes that isn't having an immediate impact on price. It sustains it like it is at the moment, but my sense is at some point the floodgates will open more. So I think it's about making sure the moving parts are aligning. I think it will have an impact, no doubt about it.
But just over to you, like, I know that we've kind of spoke about this year. There's a lot of people that think it's kind of the end of the bull market. Through the research that I do, and obviously through Carrot Lane or whatever, I think we're very much 2026 might be a good year. Obviously, we don't know. We didn't know that this war was going to break out and all these sorts of things. But the silver bullet to all of this is the interest rates. And actually, if you do some of the research around the new Fed chair, Kevin Walsh, a lot of the things that he's saying is that he's going to lower rates because he thinks that there's anecdotal evidence that AI is making businesses more efficient, but it's not showing really up in the data. So actually, the reason why the economy is holding strong and they've left rates higher, they're not actually taking into account the anecdotal evidence of AI impacting businesses positively. Do you have any thoughts on like where we might be headed during this cycle? Do you think it'll be much stronger, or do you think this is a 2027 thing?
No, I think we can see this year that the market is going to pick up. I don't think this Iranian war is going to drag on. I think there was fears that could have happened off the start when it first began, and that it could escalate and more countries get involved. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think Trump is obviously pushing for he's saying that the war is done, but it's not done yet. But I think in a month or two, it might be fine. The real problem would be like the real problem that's going to impact prices and obviously have a knock-on effect to stuff like interest rates is going to be oil. The Strait of, whether they can open up the Strait of Hormuz or not, because that could have really big global implications. I mean, I've got a tweet right here, and it's BlackRock basically saying if oil goes to $150 per barrel, they believe it will cause a recession.
Yeah.
Of
Gone.
Iran remains a threat to trade, a threat to the Straits of Hormuz. Then I would argue that we could have years of above $100, closer to $150 oil.
What happens to the global economy if that happens? How do we see it?
We'll have global recession. If there's a cessation.
So he's saying straight up, the BlackRock CEO, Larry Fink, is literally saying straight up, if they continue to, be a threat in the Strait of Hormuz and it not fully open up and all these ships be able to pass freely without really any risk, he thinks we're going to see oil at $100 to $150 a barrel, and that will cause a global recession. So, I mean, that's really, really bad. But do I believe that's going to happen? I don't think so. I think they are going to somehow find a way to open up the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, they better, because as we've just heard, they have to.
They better, because I want my Del Mondos to go up.
It's funny because but I think you bring up a good point there. Michael Howell, who's like the liquidity expert, is basically he's the person who first came up with this whole thing about liquidity driving asset prices, and he thinks that Donald Trump is maybe intentionally causing turmoil. So we do go into recession, and then what it does is it forces the Fed to step in and start an easing cycle. So then the asset prices go up, and he's probably doing that ahead of the midterms in November. That's kind of his thinking around it. But it's interesting you say recession. That is actually very positive for crypto prices, because what it leads to is it leads policymakers to step in. So it forces them to step in, and they usually use the only tool, which is interest rates, money printer. And we know what the money printer does. You've seen that meme with Jerome Powell doing that thing. When we thought we were going to Valhalla, and you've got Jerome Powell on the thing printing all the money and all that sort of stuff. But
I know.
I think it's going to be positive. I think if you look at Kevin Walsh, he's a Republican. He's somewhat ironically, his father-in-law is best friends with Donald Trump. His father-in-law was the guy who floated the idea of Donald Trump invading Greenland because they're mineral enriched. So now you think, hold on a second, this is a family affair. This is like insider baseball here. You got he's picked this Fed chair. He's supposed to be impartial. There's supposed to be impartiality to the role, but actually he kind of knows him. And then in Trump's tweets, he's kind of like, well, he's the right man for the job. And he keeps saying out of central, he says central casting, which is interesting. So, and there's a reason why he's got this person in, and that's to lower rates. And I think Kevin Walsh is going to lower rates. And if you
does he come in May? Does he come in?
Yeah, mid-May. Yeah. Mid-May. But I think what's also happened is the fact that because they try to sue Jerome Powell, basically just trying to get him out, they've actually lengthened the process because now there's a legal thing going on.
Gosh.
So, yeah. It's all interesting stuff. I mean, obviously, I try and avoid, I guess, the political landscape and try and stick to the tokens.
Yeah.
Between the insider trading and between, I guess, the effects of who's in office and what they're trying to do, it just gives you an indication of where things are going. But I think the middle of 2020 this year is going to be huge. I think it's going to be huge. I think I think it's going to be enormous, and that's just going to rotate down further into these kind of expressive assets. Talking about expressive assets, NFTs, are you guys seeing anything in the ecosystem, any new mints that have popped up, or anything that you are kind of interested in?
Anything from your perspective, Burge?
New mints, I didn't decide to really take part in the Nibbles mint. That was one that I passed on.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think there was one other one, but I can't remember the name now.
Right.
new mint is not really where I'm looking. I'm looking, you know, actually what I just did, I placed another offer on an Apple, and I think literally that same day it got accepted. So I'm up to 8 apples. So my
Burge,
kind
I
of
think
like
it's quite
mindset.
important, Burge, just to say it's quite important to give a context to that.
Yes, yeah.
So no, he's actually got a physical orchard in his garden.
That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. So I'm talking about for people who aren't aware, the Curio card Apple #1, the first Curio card, and yeah, so I'm up to 8. I own 8 now. I'm trying 10, and then I think I'll probably pause there and look at trying to acquire some other assets. But kind of what I was saying on the live stream last week with Jayden was, I think it's important whilst we have, you know, crypto's low right now, NFTs aren't really moving that much. I think this is a real good opportunity to get in. Even if it takes 6 months before the market picks up again, I still think it could be a valuable a decision to at least over the next few weeks or months try and make sure you're ready for a bull market, and make sure you have, you know, own what you want to own.
Yeah, I think it's
absolutely.
I watch both of you closely, and not obviously that close, but you know, we kind of hang out.
I saw you in the garden the other day.
I'm going to be outside your window like that. You're going to be like,
Bird
just moved into his new flat, so I'm going to be on a step ladder looking through his window.
Suddenly this face appears at the window, and I'm just trying to watch Netflix. It's a bit, Christ, what are you doing, Jayden?
Yeah, you've got the manosphere on repeat there, Simon. No, but it's funny, like, and I do think about these things a lot because I write a lot, and like with you, Birds, you're making some really smart moves in the Curio cards because it's just capturing the trend. It's keeping it simple. Whereas Simon, you've got to a stage, I guess, in your life and your career, which is your big thing is like the mental stimulation of the communities, and actually, firstly, being a valued community member. I'm speaking to a lot of people on LinkedIn, or people, artists, founders wanting to launch NFT projects, and they don't start at the most obvious place, which is just be a collector first, like be an enthusiast first. It's no shit that the best NFT projects running at the moment, they were NFT, like Luca Nets, Puppy from Quirkies. Obviously, Gary Vee was collecting CryptoPunks. So all of these people were kind of like in the collector ecosystem first before they kind of got in. But I noticed with you is like, you're very much the mental stimulation, trying to figure it out, like where's the value. And I think it's really clever. And, you know, credit to you with Del Mondo's. Obviously, me and Burge, that very first live, we were kind of like, oh, okay, you know, I thought it looked kind of cool. Burge was like, well, nah, it's not really for me. Sorry, I'm throwing you under the bus a bit, Burge. We both probably were kind of, but actually,
no, I came out against it. I was like, this isn't going to be top 25.
Yes. No, not at all. But what you're saying, Jen, I think there's two ends of the spectrum with it, and what Burge you're doing, and what I have got a foot in that place as well, which is provenance, you know, historical value, those kind of NFTs, and also the NFTs which have been around, which are proving themselves as proper businesses, like Other Side and all those kinds of places. But then anything new comes along for me is about, are they doing something fresh and different enough to warrant going into? And I also think that the NFTs are changing. The newer ones are going to adapt, where there'll be quite a lot of AI and agent integration, so they don't just become an asset you hold, which is great, especially if it's got provenance, but they hold they do a function for you. Do you see what I mean? I think NFTs are evolving the whole time, and where they get quite exciting is where you start to integrate AI and agent activations, and you're not just buying the NFT as a static thing. It's something that will do something for you and maybe give you value. That's interesting. That kind of thing interests me, away from just the provenance side of things.
Yeah. Do you think because again, like, and obviously I speak more to the differences of you two is obviously, Burge, you're leaning into the Apple for the financialization of it. I know you like the history of it.
Yes.
With Simon's angle is slightly different, which is the mental stimulation and the interest and those sorts of things. But you think into this next run, obviously people want to collect things that go up in price, but do you think the behavior is going to be different to what it was in 2021? Because in 2021, I mean, I remember trying to trade around these things, and Burge, and Simon as well. Like, if you got a 3x, you were pissed. Like, it was 10.
Yeah.
It was 10x. It was 10x or nothing.
So bad.
You're
so
like,
spoilt.
Yeah, no,
we?
it was like, if you got a 3x, you were like, this is a waste of time. Like, what am I doing with this? It was kind of like a 10x, and because everyone had this like the Bored Ape Yacht Club framework in their mind, and they were like, well, this is going to be the next Bored Ape Yacht Club, or this is going to be the next CryptoPunks, or this is going to be the next whatever the thing was kind of pumping at the moment. But do you think we have that same behavior? You know, obviously now it's more leaning into collectibles, or do you? Because I guess human behavior is hard to change, isn't it?
I think it's a yes and a no. I think what we're going to see is the people in the space now have definitely matured quite a lot. We're going to see them make smarter decisions, and as you said, Jayden, when things get crazy, we'll see plenty of people default back to very silly decisions. Yeah. There's definitely going to be a case of what you're saying, like what happened before, which was, you know, being pissed that you only got a 3x instead of getting a 10x.
Yeah,
that happens because of opportunity cost. People they aren't happy with the 3x because they're like, well, I could have had a 50x with Bored Apes.
Yeah,
you know, and I bought this project instead, and if I'd only bought Bored Apes instead of buying this project. Now, for the mature people in the space, I think they're going to make smarter decisions. But if the bull market happens, we'll see plenty of people flood into the space again, just like we saw in 2021. And those people, for the most part, are going to make the same sort of decisions that we saw back in 2021, where it was just fast, you know, how can I make the most money? And they are, and a lot of them, again, history will repeat in a way, because people are going to get burned again. There will be scam projects for sure. Like, I don't think we should think that we are like far, like we've left that in the past, because that's for sure going to plague the ecosystem in the bull run that's going to come, for sure. Because there's too many people that aren't, you know, clued in, that are going to flood into the space as soon as as there's like real money back in the system again. And there is money in the system right now, but you know what I mean, with a bull market, it'll be crazy. As soon as that becomes a reality, there'll be plenty of people that flood into the space that have no idea really what they're doing, and they haven't learned the lessons that we've learned. So we're gonna be the veterans of the space, really. We're gonna be able to, and as I said, people are still us. People like us are still gonna fall foul to making bad decisions again.
Yeah, you're right. I think that's excellent points you made there, Burge, about that. It's neither one nor the other. It's going to be that blend of the experienced people in it who will still make mistakes and people coming in new. The other thing doesn't really help, I know we talked about this before, is because it's in crypto. So if it's in ETH and I go, it's 3x, that's pathetic. Whereas actually, if it was like $1,000 and now it's $3,000 in the space of a day,
yes,
Do you see what I mean? It's because it's like Monopoly when you go into crypto. You've got to be so careful not to. You've got to ground yourself. This is actual. You've just doubled your money in 4 hours.
Yeah,
come on.
It might actually pay. It might actually pay in a weird way to have like OpenSea set on dollars instead of on ETH, because I feel like you're 100% right, Simon. I feel like we get desensitized to ETH so quickly when we're dealing in ETH or in Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency. We get desensitized to how much money was actually at play. Whereas if you set OpenSea to dollars and you realize, oh, I bought this NFT for $4,000 and I've just sold it for $28,000, then that starts, you actually start to make more logical decisions. Like, for example, oh, hang on a second, I'm going to have to pay tax on that. I'll probably keep,
Yes.
I'll put 5,000
Yes.
aside or something like that. In ETH, it goes completely out your window. In ETH, all you think is, well, what can I buy next?
Yeah, it's
I
that
know that's the
placebo
fucking
chip
problem.
effect, isn't it? It's like
I also, just to say, I think I want to build an agent that says "sell, you idiot." If I'm going, literally, it sends me little messages on my Telegram. Build it with OpenClaw or whatever, and it just says, "Look, for God, don't be an idiot. Don't even think about it. Sell it, or don't forget the tax implications." It would be quite cool, actually, thinking about it, to have this kind of this companion sort of giving you those instructions in real time.
I think the interesting thing I noticed, especially about the founders in the space, is the plan to sustain pricing. There doesn't seem to be at the moment. I think it's a blind spot from some of the founders that we've kind of spoken to. There's no obvious plan to sustain floor pricing. In fact, it's not even a conversation. And I think whilst the floor price talk in 2021 and 2022 was kind of toxic, I think for some of these established projects, there needs to be some plan in place, almost in the way that if you were a if you were like a FTSE 250 company in the UK, or you were on the stock market, you would have a strategy in place for price stability. If you're listed on the stock market, you'd want some type of price stability, because price going down or volatility going down is just a negative event for the or marketing event for the business. But price going up is very positive. But actually, you want to be kind of delta neutral and just steady and have stability on the way up.
Yeah, you're right. I was going to
I
ask you about that, Jayden, actually, in a moment, about that stability factor. But
I mean, I see it in. I see it in VFriends. VFriends has crashed from 23 to 1.5 each. So, but I'm just saying, I think what's happening there in that ecosystem is that he's looking for price stability. He's looking for healthy collectors that actually want to hold on to the asset versus buyers. We use Del Mondo's as an example. Obviously, they've done really well. They've got this baked-in royalty. But I would be interested to know, okay, well, what's the plan when this gets to 1.5 Ethereum? What's the plan when this gets to 2 ETH? And what's the value to the holder? Because what's going to happen when the market runs hot is people are going to buy these things when it gets to 3, 4, 5 Ethereum, if it gets to those levels. And you can have a big chunk of your community are going to buy the top of this. The downside pressure of that is going to be an issue for a lot of these projects. And I think given the success rate in NFTs, it's highly likely that some of these bigger projects that are on the timeline and look good and feel good may not be successful. It may not be successful. So this is why I like Burge's strategy of leaning into the historical stuff, because he just doesn't need to do anything.
I agree with that.
I like the mental stimulation approach from you as well, Simon. But I kind of fall a little bit in the middle, which is what we didn't have in 2021 was a runway. We had nothing to go by. People were just putting these roadmaps on fucking websites, which is like a PDF going, oh, we're going to do all this. And then 3.5, 4, 5 years later, you're like, well, you haven't done anything. But actually, there are chimpers. Obviously, Good Vibes Club is more recent. There's obviously Doodles, VFriends, Pudgy Penguins. There's going to be a whole bunch of ones that I miss out or whatever. But these guys have been building over the last 4. So you can see something now. Now you can make an informed decision, right? Based on what I can see.
It's been great. Yes.
Based on what I can see, do I like what's happening here? And am I prepared to put money into it?
And I agree with you about that price. I wanted to ask you, Jayden and Burge, about, you take, for example, World of Women. It's unbelievable. You see these prices at other collections as well, where basically it stays at the same price and has done for months and months and months. Obviously, fluctuation. So 0.16 ETH. Yeah. Occasionally going up a little bit to 0.175 or 18, and then down again to 15. I was just curious what it literally is solidly holding at this price point, give or take, for absolutely months and months and months. What's that about? What is that?
Well, So it may be the price anchoring from where people minted. It's like obviously a historical project that I'm in is Crypto Skulls. There was whole bunch of people that got into Crypto Skulls at 0.05, and it never really dropped below that. I think it did at one point, but people price anchor to the entry price. Now, I think from memory that World of Women may have minted for like 0.2 or 0.25 Burge.
Might have, yeah.
I was actually, when World of Women launched, I left my phone. Bearing in mind, I was cooking with NFTs at the time. And I thought, you know what, let me detach from my phone a second. I go on a walk, I come back, and my phone's blowing up because now the first ever female NFT project is launched, and blah, this is legit, and there's top artists and blah, 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 and Reese Witherspoon sharing it, Gary V, Logan Paul, and I'm like, oh, fuck. And then I was like, it was 0.2 at the time. The floor on secondary was 0.2 at the time. And I thought, I could get 2 of these. Let me just go get I think it was, I don't know, maybe my ledger or something. And then I came back and it was like 0.6. And I was like,
wow.
How interesting. I got in a little bit earlier than that, but only straight after mint. I really wish I had gotten to mint. About 2 days later, I got in.
Yeah. But I mean, they're like World of Women again is like it follows Burge's thesis of the historical stuff. They're locked in. That it's just a supply and demand thing. World of Women don't actually need to do anything, and actually the reaction to V, who when she was announced as the CEO, the reaction to the price was really positive because of some of the stuff she'd done with Pudgy Penguins.
I just looked up the mint price. It was 0.007 ETH or around $225 at the time.
Okay, so what's 0.16? Is that $225?
0.16 would have been
now.
Now.
Oh, now. Oh, yeah. 0.16 now is about $300.
Right. So
just over.
Yeah, that's a good call. That's a good call. Yeah.
It's directionally.
I think you're right, Jayden. I think you're right. There's definitely that.
It's like V-Friends. It's like V-Friends minted. I mean, a lot of the people buying them like around about an ETH. I know they went to half an ETH, but they weren't but then obviously you had the gas wars and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Guys, just for the 93 of you that are listening, myself, Burge, and Simon go live every Wednesday at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Would really appreciate you sharing the stream if this is the first time you've been here, or just give each of us a follow and pop your notification bell on, because it will obviously send you a notification and tell you when we're live. We're obviously 3 enthusiasts in the space. We love talking about crypto, NFTs. Not so much Bitcoin because that's just boring. I don't want to upset the BTC maxis, which is pretty cool. I just want to segue slightly. Obviously, we've been talking about the NFT stuff, and we can kind of circle back to that if any of you guys sort of come up with anything. But just before we came online, Simon, you asked about the TokenWorks ecosystem, the stuff that's happening with Punk Strategy. The price is down at the moment. What I've been I say at the moment, it's been down for a while. Clearly because the flywheels aren't flywheeling, but also because a huge function of, I guess, the Punk Strategy is the ETH ecosystem, and the ETH ecosystem is a huge function of the NFT ecosystem, and the index to the NFT ecosystem is CryptoPunks, and then if CryptoPunks go so it's like this kind of basically tower of Jenga that we're playing with. Did you have any thoughts on the TokenWorks ecosystem? I know we've been kind of commenting on Adam and kind of his communication.
Burge, what's your thoughts? Because I've been sort of sat back a lot on that.
Yeah,
it's one of those ones, isn't it? It's I mean, when you look at the market, I have 5 that I keep track of. Check Strategy and Pain Strategy are like super low right now. I think the market cap on those is like $250,000 or $300,000. And then you've got Vibe Strategy and Chimp Strategy. Interestingly enough, Vibe Strategy was performing pretty strongly up until late, right? Because of the sheer amount that they'd been able to burn of the token, because of what the project had been doing in trying to implement badges and kind of give value to the people holding Vibe Strategy. So that was doing really well. And that actually crashed pretty sharply, I think, over the last few weeks. And then Punk strategy has pretty much stayed the same for the longest time. It's at 0.013, which is a market cap of about 12 million. And it's been there for a while now. I think, yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like Adam's going to do too much with Punk strategy, which is pretty a little bit disappointing for sure. I thought he would have taken. I thought he would have really kind of taken Punk strategy and championed that, because that was his kind of golden goose. I mean, but instead, what he's done is he's done this raise. He's allocated as a part of that raise to buy Punk strategy, and then I think he's going to start launching other projects. I think he's going to try and basically go for another home run and try and recreate the success that he had with Punk strategy. I don't know if that's the greatest strategy though.
Yeah, no pun intended.
No, yeah, great.
That's a good strategy.
It was just a token gesture, really, from Adam at the beginning, and he doesn't want to know anymore. But I was thinking that, do you think in his thinking there's something about, well, look, the punks don't go around self-promoting. They are what they are. They are the one, therefore they don't need to shout about it. I'm just wondering whether in his mind he's thinking that the Punk strategy as part of, clearly, that ecosystem doesn't need to shout about it anymore either. It is what it is. It goes where it goes because of the function of the punk. I don't know whether that might be his mentality.
I think his I mean, we clearly got an insight into kind of his way of thinking, right? I think he's a builder first and foremost. He's like a dev. And that's what he enjoys doing the most, right? So something keeping him away from being able to build new things, he might even have a slight grievance towards it. A kind of like he actually is loathing the fact that he's not able to build these new things. So whilst obviously I'm sure he was really happy with the success of Punk strategy, I wonder if, there wasn't enough incentive to keep building out Punk strategy, which I thought he would have had a lot of incentive of, trying to increase the price of Punk strategy. But maybe it just, in his point of view, kind of like you said, Simon, I don't think it's the relation with CryptoPunks, but I think it's more that he just believes right now, he believes this will be successful. The price will surge upwards, but it will surge upwards when the market picks up.
Yes.
And I can't control the market. So maybe he's just kind of taking this very look, I can't really affect Punk strategy or the strategy tokens and their success, because that needs the market to pick up. That needs for there to be an NFT bull market. And so he's basically said, look, I can't do that. And so, and I don't know why all these people are asking me to keep doing stuff with strategy tokens when the market conditions aren't right. I'm going to, and also deep down, I want to build more stuff. So look, I'm dipping. I'm going to do this raise. I'm going to do this raise. 10% is going to go to Punk strategy, which is the golden goose. Yeah. And I'm always going to keep it in mind. But now I'm going to keep building. Now I'm going to build the next thing.
Burge. And also, he's probably thinking, well, the whole point is the mechanics of it is it's a self-perpetuating flywheel. So that's the whole point. Therefore, when price goes up, it follows. That's the whole point of the mechanics.
Yeah. No,
and that's almost, as holders, I kind of feel like we've all kind of just been like, I don't feel like, well, screw this guy, I'm going to sell. I feel like I'm going to hold. I'm going to sit on these bags because, yes, maybe they've gone down from what I've put in compared to the price now. It's down, sure. And we definitely have a thing in the NFT and the crypto world where we refuse to sell at a loss. Like that is definitely, goes back to what Jayden was saying in terms of it's straddling that line of around mint price. It like staying close to mint price. People don't like to sell for a loss. But I think more than that, we all believe in that this is going to pay off eventually when there's an NFT bull run.
Yeah.
So now I'm kind of like, I think I'm kind of changing my mindset around Adam. I'm kind of like not mad at him. I wish he had done a bit more and launched a few more strategy tokens.
Yeah.
But I still think this is going to be successful.
Oh, yeah.
Can I just say, it's just an aside, maybe what, in terms of you saying we can't sell, and it's like, I can't sell my NFTs. We could actually, you could have counseling sessions, like, you know, with AA. You go, and it's about exposure therapy. You know, when you've got a particular upset, you get exposure therapy, and it could just be, look, we need to help you to sell your NFTs because you're not going to do it yourself. And tell us, you know, and you actually go, do you mean I can do this? You mean I can sell?
You can sell for a loss.
Yeah, it's all right. It's okay. And I have to hold your hand. I think we need some, well, I need some therapy on helping me to sell NFTs. I saw that Sell the Dipshit. That's great.
Thanks for letting me know that you could change to USD, change my life. So that's obviously a fellow it's a fellow Del Mondo's. We've also had David Chidgey, who's a Carrot Lane member, which I really appreciate. Totally agree with you about this. So that's probably on the punk strategy thing that you were talking about there, Burge. Which, yeah, I mean, I think my sort of thoughts on it are there's a gap in information here. I was actually speaking to someone on. I do these consultation calls for people who are starting their NFT projects, and a whole bunch of them are still in the mindset of, "Oh, we're going to do a TGE," and I'm like, "Hold on a second. There's a better way of doing this." Which means that you don't have these two living, breathing ecosystems. And oh, by the way, you don't even have an audience that you can bring on board to buy this stuff. And oh, by the way, if you get investors on board and you give an allocation to NFT holders, you're going to have this whole front running the NFT, but then also the investors are going to dunk on the NFT holders. So it just doesn't work. Whereas the strategy tokens, they do solve a massive issue. I think my sort of thing with him, and I think he meant it as a positive thing, but he was like, "Look, I haven't spent any money on marketing," and I'm like, "Well, you know, maybe there needs to be a gap between it's bloody hailing outside in the UK. Are you guys enjoying some of this?"
No.
As I'm talking, there's bloody hailstones hitting my window at the moment. They're not that big. We won't go on about it, but there's hailstones hitting my crypto. But
yes.
But I think also it is also a function of Ethereum. So when ETH is going up, the multiplier on Punk Strategy goes up. Like ETH goes up 5%, Punk Strategy goes up 20%. But also, if there's a burn at this low market cap, it's going to have a bigger impact. So I think it's still all to play for. I think it was always going to be one of these ones that you just allocate no more than 10% to. Somewhat ironically, I think it could be like the Buster Douglas of NFTs, because it's just going to come back and fucking destroy it because there's 40 CryptoPunks in the protocol.
And as we've said so many times before, when the wheels do start spinning, that this is going to be all plastered over the timeline. I mean, just think about, like, you know, if we get into an NFT bull run again, and you see 5 punks, let's say, sell on a given day, I mean, that's going to be a massive news piece, a massive marketing piece for Punk Strategy. That's going to be insane. But it's also going to happen with all these smaller projects as well. So smaller projects, I mean, they're still big, massive projects, but you know, even the likes of Pudgy Penguins and Ape Strategy, like those, usually we haven't talked so much about them, but those are big projects. And if the flywheel starts spinning on those, that will be like a meaningful, it will create a meaningful amount of kind of energy around those big projects. So those communities are going to have to start to listen. And then obviously Chimp Strategy, Vibe Strategy, where it's more integrated, where the community knows what's happening, they're going to obviously be hot on, like, when the flywheel starts spinning, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
See, we've got ourselves into a frenzy of support for punk strategy again.
Yeah.
We just talked ourselves into it. The reason why I like leaving it on there is because there's a lot of people that got into punk strategy probably off the back of like the live streams, but also it's never going away. I mean, I know they changed the multiplier to a 1.1 premium versus the 1.2, which I think is a good thing. Also means it's not completely immutable and decentralized. The fact that he's going, no, it's up there. Can never touch it. Hold on a second. No, let's just change the
just tweaking it.
Because I remember asking, who did I ask? It was Ty from GVC, and he's like, well, he's not really sure. But I think the other projects can change theirs as well. So the other projects can make amendments to theirs as well, which I think is a good thing because you don't really know what's going to happen, and you don't really want to. You don't really want to be in guest mode. Simon, we normally do a Nishi Nuggets thing. Is there any
I've got a few little? Well, like I never know if they are Nishi or just nuggets, or whatever they are.
But you'll see by mine and Burge's reactions if we know what you're talking about. So
okay, well, you will know about because they're not so niche. You'll know about the chimpers with their updated. Is it the kawaii or kwai chimpers? So that you have your original chimpers, but it also you can switch back and forth between those two personas, and the kawaii ones have their own, which is interesting, tying into VeeFriends and what you said before in terms of IP and stories and individual characters. Each of them has their own name and their own backstory, and they're part of their own like sort of tribe or something, sector. So, and they're modeled on the Chimpers mascot, but they're obviously derivatives of it. So now you've got your original, and you've got your character with its name and its backstory. Clearly, Del Mundo's is doing has got released, and we always knew about this, but we kept it to ourselves. The Climeta. The next iteration of what it's doing with a really brilliant, we all know about it, piece of technology that's going to help fund conservation around the world with partnering with brands, and they've got their own. That's why it's so lovely, Burge. You were buying your Del Mundo earlier, and also the idea of the bids on the auctions, which are just about coming to a close soon for the 90 silver necklaces, which is a kind of proof of concept for this machine that they built that is going to be able to really make a difference to conservation projects around the world. And the other thing about it is that brands are going to have to prove that they are doing what they say they're doing when it comes to being part of conservation, because you can't just say it on a slide deck anymore. You've got to prove it, and so that software will prove that for them. Some other little things. I know we know about the Pokemon card element, but there has, just doing a bit of niche nugget research, there's been some Pokemon card tokenization surge. So platforms like Courtyard are seeing sustained under the radar activity in this tokenizing physical high value Pokemon cards. So it's interesting that that whole physical and digital connection and marriage, which we talked about in the past, is definitely, it seems,
we spoke about this last week.
It's not going away.
We kind of spoke about that last week, which was actually the physical collectibles now, because they're ramping up to extreme prices, because people our age, or my age or whatever, are having kids, and that's bringing that nostalgia back. But we're in our earning years, so the price of these things is going up. And then you're thinking, well, hold on a second, how do I get a piece of it? Actually, it's a digital receipt. And it's so like...
Yes, the digital receipt.
And everyone's like, no, well, NFTs are a bunch of bullshit. We're like, no, hold on a second. You've literally got a digital receipt that shows ownership for everything. Stocks, gold, silver, car, house. It's all just like, it's either on a piece of paper or a digital receipt.
Absolutely. A few other little bits and pieces. I was sort of doing research on what we talked about earlier, NFTs being collectibles, provenance art, but also moving towards AI agents being kind of digital employees. And the interesting thing about it is I am building an agent right now to do this, do something, but It's being built
Is he
on
going to be on next
co-work.
week?
It's going to be on. Yeah, I'm actually going away again. And basically, cut long story short, I'm building it on a platform, right? Which is a centralized platform, whereas an agent in the form of an NFT is on the blockchain, so it's not in a centralized space, which gives more autonomy, which I think is a really interesting concept about building AI agents into NFTs. And so there's that. The one last thing, I did see, which is interesting, a little article about 6 NFT predictions. I won't go through all of them.
Right.
It was on Bankless by William Pister, who's on X as well. And I thought this was interesting. What do you think? Coinbase acquires NFT IP. So this is what he's predicting. That in 2026, I think Coinbase will take this a step further by acquiring the IP of an entire NFT collection. Not because NFTs will become a core product focus again necessarily, but because the company identifies a brand it has synergies with and decides that owning cultural surface area is strategically useful. Just thought that was a really interesting thing about the purchasing of entire NFT collections for the brand and culture.
I think that's a good one. Yeah. What do you make of Bankless? Just your personal opinion.
I don't really
I used to
access it that much. What about you?
I mean, I used to listen to them in the early days. In fact, a big portion of my knowledge comes from listening to them. Obviously, Ethereum maxis, but they very much, and I'm not shooting from the hip or anything, but to kind of mid-curve the technology a little bit. They just get infatuated with the technology side of things. They understand it. Very clever guys, very switched on. But I got to a stage where I was like, guys, I'm not really interested in the technology this much. And this is why the NFTs speak to me, because it's actually, there's an old saying, which is technology gets consumerized when the consumers stop talking about the technology. They're still talking about the nuts and bolts of the technology, and which is fine and whatever. But
yes, you're right.
Very clever guys have very clever interviews. And if you're into all that stuff, then great. But this is why the NFTs just appeal to me, because it's just like, this person who's commented earlier. I would imagine if I go into the comments, if you just look at the profile picture, I'd imagine that nest on the Del Mondo's head, they'd have gone, oh, that looks pretty cool. He's not there going, sell the dipshit's not going, oh, well. It's decentralized on a distributed ledger system, and then it points at an image file and no, he just looked at it and gone, oh, that looks kind of cool. It's got a bird, and it's got a bird on its head, and actually I could put that as my profile picture. And I
want to be part of the community, and I want to be part of something.
Correct. And that's how the majority of people think, and which is why it's interesting. It pricked my ears up when you said about Bankless talking about NFTs, because they don't really. But I think the thing on Coinbase is absolutely right. I think you'll see that there were rumors going around, Burge, when we went to the World of Women meetup, that I think Gary had something to do with Cool Cats. There was a rumor going around that maybe he was involved in that, but obviously it's just
I mean, Gary said himself he thinks there'll be a lot of cases where you see big brands buy up a dead IP and revive it. I mean, we've already seen it happen. We've already seen it happen. Yeah, in most cases, we've seen it being successful. I think it's going to happen more for sure. People are going to start to sniff the opportunity that, buying a dead project, when they've done all the work in terms of putting it all out there. Exactly. Yeah, people secretly want it to happen.
Yeah,
and maybe it doesn't have to even be dead. It could just be that it's
treading sideways,
going along.
Yeah, could just be a struggling project. True.
Yeah, nice one. Well, I'm just going to segue slightly. We've got Burgess bangers. I think what we do in future, guys, is we split you two up.
Yeah, we need to split these up.
We just
bang.
We just get.
You need to make me a headline.
Well, Simon, we'll let you go first.
No, I'll go on the end. You just tag me at the end.
Age before beauty. No, I'm only taking the miss.
Beauty and age.
I think what we could. I think we could structure it so like maybe Burgess Bangers goes, and then we do a little niche nugget at the end with Simon. But Burgess, you got something to share on your screen? Do you want me to add it to
Yeah. A lot of things. But first thing is my actual post makes Burgess Bangers.
55,000.
So yeah, this 50. Oh my god, 55.5. That's hilarious that is that number. But so yeah, I don't think we shared this last week, so I wanted to bring it up this week. So basically, Gary on a podcast that was put out, I think the day before this post went out, so March 12th, Gary literally said on the podcast that, you know,
Amazing.
We have this conference called VCon. Actually, we're going to be doing it in Miami in mid-October. Anyway, turned out that this actually wasn't the case. Gary here responding, saying, not confirmed, friends. I was fooling around a little. But he did say it, like, straight up. Matter of fact, didn't sound like he was joking at all. But it is confirmed that it's not happening. It's not happening this year, VCon. But yeah, this got a lot of traction obviously in the VFriends community, as you can imagine. I think this post was the first to kind of like break the news. And yeah, it just went crazy. And yeah, super funny that was a 55.5k views that is hit.
Excellent.
Moving on. So Jayden, you talked about, you know, the NFT projects in the ecosystem right now, and the big projects that are actually doing things, that are actually building a real brand. And I think this was something that Simon touched on a couple of weeks ago when he was Pudgy World launched. And I've actually played the game. I spent like an hour or so on it, which I think as a gamer, I think for them to get me to spend like an hour or so on their game, I think that means that they must have done a good job. You know, I was doing the quests, but I also played some of the arcade games that they'd created. You know, these are quite simple games, but they were made to a good level. And I think this is just, Pudgy obviously is, you know, I would say a lot of people think is like the face of NFTs right now. It kind of like took the mantle over from Bored Ape, maybe. I would say it's really impressive to see all the stuff that Pudgy's been up to. So you've got Pudgy World, like it's a full game that they've created, and obviously they're going to tie things in, crypto and NFT related. But here's just an example. You've got Pudgy World digital assets actually being sold on Amazon. So they already have an Amazon store that they built out through their, through their physical collectibles, but they're also selling digital collectibles via Amazon now as well. So I think that's, this is straight out of the Amazon video games official account. So I think that's a big deal as well. I mean, let's not forget, like in 2021, we were praying for the days like these, where they would partner with massive brands like Amazon. And, Pudgy Penguins is really a great example of a project that's really doing it.
Yeah.
And then you've got
interestingly,
the
just on that, just a quick one. Isn't it interesting? Amazon Games, same with Other Side.
Yes. So Amazon's they're really open-minded, I think, in terms of dealing with the NFT projects. And I think they're really seeing something here, because there's no way that they would have done these partnerships with Pudgy Penguins and with Other Side if it wasn't for, if they didn't see a real future in NFTs. Yeah. And obviously, you got the TCG announcement here. This is Moonbirds, Burb, and Pengu. So kind of a collaboration TCG set. Just showcasing some of the stuff that are happening in the NFT world. That it's like, a real project that's really building a real business. And I think that's exciting. Now, taking a slight segue, though, we go back to the war. So the Philippines here declaring a state of national energy emergency due to a severe shortage of oil amid the Iran war. So this is, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but basically just saying, like, kind of what I was saying earlier. The oil situation is a real serious topic, and it has to be solved sometime soon. This was India's president or prime minister talking, basically putting out a post saying that he had a call with Trump, and that they're working on trying to keep the Strait of Hormuz open. Right now, apparently, in the last day, reports coming out that Iran is actually charging $2 million for ships to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, as kind of like a toll. So that's really interesting. So that kind of shows, like, I mean, Iran is definitely still the power that's controlling this strait, which is not really what you want to be the case if you're the US. Like the US, I don't see, like, obviously Trump's putting out a lot of stuff saying like we're winning the war, but if he's not controlling the Strait of Hormuz, for a lot of the international crowd, that's the one thing that they want him to do. You know, like they don't really mind what else is happening. But if the Strait of Hormuz is not being controlled and there's not safe passage for international vessels, then that's a big problem. A big problem for the wider world. Now, kind of like pivoting away from that, we have the House of Financial Services Committee are going to host a hearing on tokenization and the future of capital markets. I think that is happening today. Might even be, yeah. So I think it's
almost now.
Yeah, almost now. Yeah, and that could be a big deal.
Should we try and get them on the live or not? No.
Shall we?
just on that point, though, the Clarity Act, I think the Clarity Act has been agreed, but I don't think well, obviously we broke the news of, that kind of that cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and Bitcoin aren't securities, NFTs aren't securities either. But I think we're still kind of like, there's a little bit of a lag as to what the final details around this bill are.
Yeah.
And I think this was something that we spoke about, Simon. Here, it says here, earning rewards through activity will be allowed, but earning yield just for holding a stable coin or a cryptocurrency will be banned. So that's a really interesting development, because you got to think, like, obviously we're very into the NFT side of things, but obviously DeFi is a massive, massive thing in the crypto world, right? A lot of people used to, just farm yield, right? They used to stick all of their money into stablecoin and they used to farm the yield of it, or stick it all into Solana and farm these great yield rates. And it's basically saying that this bill is going to ban that. So you can't just hold a cryptocurrency and earn yield. You're going to have to you're going to have to show some sort of activity, which I think is really interesting. I feel like here is the highlight. Banks fought over this for months. I feel like this was a key point for banks. They did not like the yields that people were earning through stable coins, and they felt threatened, I think, by how much yield people were earning. Obviously, crypto hasn't really become mainstream, but they were envisaging if crypto became mainstream, that yield would be a real problem, because why would you hold your money at banks?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, I saw some comments on this, or not this, but sort of other posts about this. And someone said the interesting thing, or people are saying the interesting thing is, how do you interpret activity? And they said down the line, it could mean different things to different people, and therefore there may be some challenges with that in time about how you interpret, what's the minimal viable activity that would still be deemed to be activity would be, I think people are going to get quite creative about that. But generally, this looks great, doesn't it? Generally,
yeah. But I think that point of what Jayden has said in previous lives, which was, around, my bank account's gone from 0.5% down to 0.25. Why would I put my money in a bank account? Well, if they're banning yield like that, clearly the banks obviously in this deal, there was always going to have to be some compromise found. I feel like in general, a lot of the good parts are, crypto is not a security, NFTs aren't a security. In fact, even that earning rewards for activity is allowed, despite yield for just holding being banned, I think is a win. But yeah, obviously earning yield for just holding the stable coins being banned will be a big deal for a lot of people that are into DeFi and are into just holding their money in stable coins and farming the yield. And then lastly, or just going to the last few here, we've got Solana Foundation launching a new enterprise platform with MasterCard, which is probably going to be the first kind of thing to build on kind of a payment system and using stable coins. And then here, actually on that same point, Ripple tests stable coins with Singapore's central bank. This is really interesting. I don't know. This is a really fun anecdote. I was driving down from, I think it was from Northampton down to Hempstead, where I'm from. And on the motorway, it's that on one of the bridges, it says, someone's graffitied, say no to CBDCs.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a real big topic over the next 5 or 10 years. Central bank, decentralized currencies.
Central bank digital currencies. Yeah,
digital currencies are going to be. It's going to be a major talking point because there's a lot of pushback against central banks putting these currencies out there.
The Ripple chat. I've been doing a lot of stuff on TikTok at the moment, and actually a lot of people on there saying XRP, 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 and it's kind of like this.
Interesting.
This just, you know, when like the attention flows on it and you come across people that keep talking about it, it's like, okay, this is going to be a thing. Because actually it's just these are community tokens, and if you come across so many people in the community, like, hold on a second, this is probably going to be a thing. But I think the kind of meme around the Swift banking and it taking over the whole banking system is the thing that people buy into while they're buying the token. I think it's going to be a big one. But
the problem with CBDCs though is obviously like then they can track everything. They can track
absolutely.
They can track. Yeah. They have so much control. It's very scary. So I think that's why there's a lot of pushback for CBDCs, especially. The last couple points that I had were just OpenAI raising an additional $10 billion at a $730 billion valuation. And then this is a really interesting one. I thought this was a good one to end on. I wanted to get your guys' points on this. Not a viral tweet by any means, just something that popped up on my timeline. But this guy talking about how his impressions over the last 3 months from the UK have actually been really strong. And from me, anecdotally, I've been seeing a lot of traction in the UK picking up. So I don't know whether it's just the timeline showing this to me or not, but I've been invited to a couple of group chats. One was called On-Chain Brits, which is actually close to my new initiative, On-Chain Society. But that's, they added a ton of people over the last month or two. And I'm also seeing I'm seeing other kind of activity pick up from the UK side of things. I mean, it's still small in terms of compared to the US, but it's giving me a lot of faith. It's giving me a lot of, it makes me. It's good to know that there's a core group of people in the UK that are still involved in the NFT and the crypto world, and that they are still passionate about it. That's the main thing I want to say.
I agree. I'm in when I got asked, or not asked, I just got invited, UK crypto space on X, which is interesting. So I agree. I have seen that.
Do you think it's a whole bunch of people trying to copy us? No, I'm only joking. I just want to circle back quickly to Sell the Dipshit. They need their own show. But if Burgess is going to start his own live streaming called Burgess Bangers, and I've already patented it. No, I'm only joking. But yeah, thanks for that. And then obviously, Victoria Vidandi said good morning. Loving the new profile picture, Victoria. Really appreciate it. Go for it, Burge.
Last point I just wanted to say was be careful out there especially if you're in the NFT and crypto world. Seen a lot of scams pop up actually in the last few days, and had a really kind of not really elaborate, but an elaborate sort of scam actually attempted on me. and it was through they'd compromised someone's X account of someone that I knew. They contacted me. They'd said like, oh, like you should join this meeting, you'll be able to meet a bunch of people, network with people in the NFT crypto space. Oh yeah, I'll just send you the details. And I was like, oh, it's a bit of a weird link that they've sent. I mean, it wasn't the link that was dodgy or that was compromised, but it was a Google link, but it was a Google Workspace instead of like Google Meet. And I was like, oh, that's a bit weird. And then they gave you like he gave like the email address and then this code to join it. And I was like, oh, bit weird, but I don't know.
I'll do it anyway.
Maybe I'll entertain it. I mean, it was Google, so it seemed legit. Enter the email, enter the code, and then it's saying, we couldn't authenticate. You need to install some certificates. And then it's saying underneath, it's saying, or go into Windows PowerShell. As soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah, this is not legit at all. But it was an elaborate scam that for the guy's account that was compromised, it got him completely. Like he lost all of his assets, and he's now working with the police to pursue them. But like,
it's so horrible when you hear all that. Yeah.
More of an elaborate scam than I've seen in the past. I mean, I've definitely seen quite a few, but we've got to be careful, especially with AI, of these scams getting a lot better, because some of these scams used to be very, very simple and very, really poor in the past. I have a real worry that with AI, that these scams could become a lot worse and a lot harder to pick up on.
I agree
but obviously,
with you. The scams don't discriminate. They get high profile people. I mean, do you remember when Kevin Rose got nailed? I mean, this guy was meant to be like one of the top 20 most influential people in tech, and he's getting scammed. I was just like, oh fuck, we've got no chance, the rest of us. But you do, if you just keep safe. If it's too good to be true, just honestly, avoid it.
So if you see Google Workspace, immediately red flags. Red flags should fly. Do not connect or anything. But even if like I connected and there wasn't like that wasn't the problem. The problem was then, oh, you need to install these certificates. Obviously, I didn't do that. So
yeah, nice one. Simon, you got anything to add before I just make the kind of closing comment?
No, that was great. I loved your bangers, Burge.
Burge,
thank you.
Brilliant as always, my friend. On the button. Folks, to the 136 people that have tuned into this live, really appreciate it. If you want to watch the live back, you can get it on email, but you can go to carotlane.com. You can subscribe there. But really appreciate you joining. Obviously, when you do join it and you share the live and you comment, the algorithm kind of likes it and it shares it to more people. So really appreciate you doing that. For the folks that send it to WhatsApp groups and all these different things, it really does mean a lot. The fact that we've got 136 people in here in the midst of carnage happening on the timeline, I think it does say wonders for the fact that we've got quite an engaged community, which is pretty cool. But we'll be back next week at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. That'll be myself, Simon, and Burge. If Simon's not floating around in Europe somewhere.
If he's not,
I'm never
Europe.
taking. I'm not hitting Europe.
I'm hitting Europe, guys. I don't know how to say this, but what's the Ron Burgundy thing? Is I don't know how to say this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Europe needs me right now.
I know. Yeah,
I'll be back with my Del Mundos.
Yeah,
Del Mundos t-shirt.
Good. I love it,
Definitely.
guys. Thanks for tuning in, Burge, Simon. Fantastic as always, guys. Until next week, we'll catch you then. And thanks to everyone who tuned in. Catch you guys later.
Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers.
See ya.